they work so beautifully. And there's a beautiful music theory little thing here, because we're going back. Okay, remember, we're playing the blues, and we're using a 1 chord, a 4 chord, and a 5 chord. And we go just back and forth between those 3 chords. And those chords are so intricately linked and related. And this is going to kind of show us how. So let's play background parts. And we'll start, what works really well is to start on the 3rd of the chord. So here we are in B flat. Oops, it's not up there anymore. But if we're in B flat, and I said, okay, let's play background parts. We're going to start on the 3rd. What note do I want you to start on? Concert pitch would be D, thank you. D. Concert D. So the first note's concert D. Okay, so let's go to the videotape. Okay, 1 chord is a B flat chord, 4 chords an E flat chord, and F chords and 5 chords and F chords and nothing. The 3rd in a 1 chord is the note D. Okay? So when we play a 1 chord, let's play a background part. It's going to be a D. And our background part's going to be a rhythmic thing on the note D. But then we're going to get to the 2nd line and the chord's going to change. So look what happens. When the chord changes, we got to change notes because D isn't going to work in an E flat chord. So we're going to play D flat. Why? You don't have to know. Just do it. But if you're interested, it's because D flat is the dominant 7th in an E flat chord. Now let's not get confused with that bass line. The bass line was over here. Now we're playing background parts. Now we're going to play the dominant background. So the D flat is the 7th, and of the 4 chords. So look how convenient that the B flat. So D sounds D, D, D flat. It's right next to it. I can play D on a rhythm. D, 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 D flat, D flat. I can just have to do that. I'm playing something cool, and it works really well. But now we're going to go to a 5 chord, so what do? Well, what if we play the 7th of a 5 chord? It would be E flat. But remember how our blues progression goes, because we play a 1 chord, then we play a 4 chord, then we go back to a 1 chord, then we go to the 5 chord, then we go back to a 1 chord. So actually, the motion is so nice. We go from a D, we play D flat, we go back to D, we go up to E flat, we come back to D, and we're done. And we play the whole, we play the background part. Does that make sense? Do you think you know when the change comes? Every time it's a chord change, you got to change pitch. And you change it kind of in that order. You go from D down to D flat. But then we go back to a 1 chord, so the note's going to be D. And then when we go to the last line, we're going to play E flat for the 5 chord. And we'll play music theory nuts. We'll play the 3rd and the 1st chord, then the 7th and the 7th. Simple? So there's the rhythm. 1, ba, ba, ba. 1, 2, ba, ba, ba. Help me out. 1, 2, ba, ba, ba. And ba, ba, ba. And ba, ba, ba. Ba, stop. We did a whole chorus. Does that sound right? So B flat, D. Why don't we sing it? We'll sing it, then we'll play it. 1, 2, D. Ready, go. And 1, 2, D. D, D, and 1, 2, ba, ba, down the hips now. 1, 2, D, dun, back to D. D, 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 up to E flat. Back to D. D, D, dun. You think you can play that? Okay, here we go. And let's do our 2 sides again. You guys play the bass line. You guys play that background part. And the bass line's going to help us to sound. Here we go, basses. 1, 2, play the bass line, ready to go. when we did the background parts. What if somebody played the third on the one chord and somebody else played, what do you think? The seventh. Well, theory buffs are going to go, tritone! Yeah, you're welcome. It's a beautiful thing, the tritone. So, thirds and sevenths. Look what happens if we play the seventh instead of the third. And I'm not going to walk you all the way through this. I'm just going to say, you know what, if you can do this, great. If not, you stick with the third. But if we start on the seventh, what happens? The seventh would be A flat in this chord. Because remember, it's not the seventh note of the scale. It's the dominant seventh. I know, that gets all confusing, so just go with it. It's A flat. So if we use A flat as our starting note, when we switch to a 4 chord, what happens? Oh, look. We move down a half step to G. Oh, it's this, we just do the same thing, but, oh, and the tritone is intact. We still have the tritone. We get that cool sound, that cool dominant 7 sound that sounds really hip. And all we do is do what we already know how to do, go down a half step. But what happens when we do the last chord? Does it get really funky? No, it doesn't. It's the same relationship. Start on an A flat, go down a half step for the 4 chord, go up a half step for the 5 chord. Duh, guess what? It's the same thing. Music is not that complicated, and sounding really cool is not that hard. Okay, who wants to try the green notes? Because if you're uncomfortable with the red notes, just stick with the red notes. If you think like the red notes is easy, you guys with your hands up, why don't you play the green notes? And let's just play, help us out drums, and tubas, no, you do this too, tubas. So let's play the green notes or the red notes. And why don't we just have our bass player play the bass note, just so we have the foundation. And drums, play some time, and pick the 3rd or the 7th. The rhythm is the same. 1, 2, bop, bop, bop. 1, 2, bop, bop, bop. Make it swing. And make it sound cool because it's going to be cool because it's going to be tritones. Here we go. We're just going to all start out on 1. You're playing the 3rd. Unless you play the 7th. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody in back of the camera play the bass part. Everybody in front of the camera, you play the song, the head. 1 o'clock jump. Everybody over here play the 3rds or the 7ths. Okay? So we'll play a chorus of bass part, just to get that down. We'll play a chorus with the melody, and then we'll play a chorus with everybody, because you guys aren't going to come in until the 3rd time. And then, why don't we do it a 4th time, and then you guys switch roles? What do you play, melody? So then you play melody. So give us backgrounds. Pick a 3rd, or if you're brave, pick the 7th. That's not really being brave. Just pick. Talk amongst yourselves. And don't talk. Just stop. And here we go. Bass line first. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. did all this. So here's the response. All right, I made a note. Oh, okay, so here's the response. We're going to make it really easy. Remember the video? The trombones. Because the trombones did the response, and they did it with because the slides and the showy, and they did a little thing. Now I'm doing a variation of what they played, because what they played involved learning a couple of notes, thirds and sevenths stuff. But let's do an easy version where we can play the same thing over and over again. So the trombone part, the background part, the response part will be 1, 2, 3, 4, da da. 1, 2, 3, 4, da da. 1, 2, 3, 4, da da. Do la. B flat G, contra pitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, play that. 1, 2, 3, 4, do it again, every other measure. And just the last measure, you'll have that. All right, so that's a background. Do that? Yeah, let's all do that one. Let's just play one time in the background. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's everybody sit down for a minute. So let's figure this out. Now it's going to be time to drag things up and play this. A chance to rise and shine. Now some of you are already smart enough to figure out, wait a minute, what if I put this in? We're not even thinking like second line stuff. So yeah, what if you do put that in? Well then you have to talk to people in your group to try and figure it out. But here's a little thing. I mean, it's a song. It's one tune. It's an easy blues tune. There's a million of them. On the site that I put a list of blues tunes just to look up. You can look them up on YouTube. That would all work with this. And you watch Count Basie and look how they built the tune and look what they did. And you know how they did it. They were just sitting on the bandstand waiting for the gig to start because their bus got in early. And they just set up on the bandstand and started warming up, and they started hacking around, and the trumpet started playing a little riff, and the saxon started playing off of that, and the bones went, whoa, and they just did this thing, and they said, that's a song, let's do that tonight. And they just did, and they said, you know, tenor sax, you play a solo, then Count, you take it for 2 choruses, and you know what, we'll play some background parts, and this is how they do it. They do it now today. Jazz ensembles do this all the time on the stage. As they're going, somebody's playing a blues thing, and they're playing, and they're playing, and they're playing, and the lead trumpet plays. They just start playing something, and the other guys join in. And they join in and they harmonize it, because they know, oh, if I play the thirds and the seventh up, that'll work really well, and they know like what kind of notes to fit in there, and they'll just do what the lead player's doing. And they just make it up on the spot. And that's, you know, if I leave you with anything today, that's what I hope to inspire you to do, or I hope that you'll think about doing, you know, maybe the rest of the year, or especially into next year. What is your little contribution? Because we know what your teachers are doing, we know what the staff is doing, and they're busting their chops coming up with all sorts of plans and thinking music and getting this and music. And it's endless amounts of stuff. So don't get to think about this, but maybe you're thinking about it. This is your job. Who's the section leader? Don't answer that question. I know you're out. But maybe this is something you're thinking about. Like, what else can I do? What if we do this in our section? Hey, flutes. We could play 1 o'clock jump because we could play all 4 parts, and you could point to somebody and say, you play the bass part. I know it sounds crazy, but you could do that, couldn't you? You'd have a quartet, and you could just do that. You could put all 4 parts in. It's actually 5 parts if you were the harmony being 2 parts. And you could put that all in, and it doesn't matter who's playing the bass line. We all have to know the bass line. We all have to know the background parts. We should all be familiar with how to respond. And we should all be familiar with melody. If we learn those things, we're doing a really nice job. All right, so what are we going to do? How do we put this together? Everybody remember all the parts? background parts and stuff, but let's smallify this. Maybe let's have tubas, just because who you are. Why don't you guys play the bass line? Sorry, I'm picking on you to do that. Just have you play the melody, I think. But let's just, for the heck of it, let's have you play a bass line. And let's have, how about mellophones? Where's the mellophones? You guys, why don't you play the melody? You know, I was thinking melody. Why don't let's see. How about clarinets? Yeah, clarinets. There's first and second clarinets. So first clarinets play the thirds. Start on the third. Second clarinet start on the seventh and give us the background parts. And then the response. How about tenor saxes? And some people get to lay out, and then we'll switch around and get other groups to play. I just want to try and give this a little bit smaller setting to see how we do. Let's lighten up. Let's keep the tempo going. You guys ready? Those groups? Here we go, tubas. Here we go, tenors, I said. Right, mellophones, you're going to play? How should we do this? Why don't we start out with the mellophones and the bass line? Just start right out. Boom. We'll play. And then you guys just come in the second time. How about that? And we'll just do it 2 times. Then we'll switch. We'll get other guys. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. That's your job. You figure out how the next verse goes. Then you figure out something. You come up with some other stuff. I'll play, before I leave, I'll play Count Basie. How many choruses are they doing? What are they doing to change it up? Maybe you can find out. All right, let's reverse some roles. Flutes, you play the bass line. Let's get that. Nuts. All right, so sit down, stand up. And trombones, why don't you play the melody? And who else didn't play? Trumpets, why don't you play the background parts? Thirds or sevenths? First and seconds, thirds, sevenths. And play that ba-da part. Is anybody left? Alto saxes? So here we go. 2 times through. 1 time with melody and bass line, 2nd time with melody and bass line, and all the background parts and the now we can really milk this. We can do a verse. I'm just trying to save some time, but we can just do a verse. We can do the bass line and melody, bass line and background parts, bass line and background parts and response, or bass line, melody and response, and then bass line, melody, response, and background. We can do whatever we want. We can add the melody last. But we're just going to, I don't know, baseline. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, before we finish up, why don't we do like a combo? Who's really courageous? Dan, pick a part. You raise your hand first. What do you like? Oh my God.
I guess melody.
Okay, melody. All right. Who else wants to play a part? Play a part, Joe. Play the sevenths on the background. Who else wants to play more? Play the thirds on the background. Who else wants to play more?
Those are doo-wops, right? Doo-wop.
Yeah. The response.
Yeah.
And nobody's playing. Baseline. Only this time, let's start with the baseline and the backgrounds. Baseline with the backgrounds. With baseline with the backgrounds, baseline with the backgrounds and the response, baseline with the backgrounds, the response, and the melody. Oh, Dan's playing back. Okay, drums, keep playing, baby. Baseline, and I forgot what I said. Baseline and back. So I'm trying to, you're playing, and then we're going to do a second verse, and you're joining in, and then we do the third verse, and you join in. And let's do a fourth verse, just do that again, but louder. Swinging it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's long, what's short, and you have to work that. But I love the way that you were communicating that and figuring out a way, and you come to that understanding. Again, this is how we make music. It's what musicians have done for ages. Sometimes just put the music down and pick your horn up and play and make some stuff happen and do it. And this is just a start. But let's end with Count Basie one more time. See if you pick up any stuff, because we learned to do like a chorus of that tune. And you know what? I'm really proud of you, because we got that. I think the bass line alone was hard to learn, and now you're putting that out like, yeah, I got a bass line. So any blues tune you ever want to play, just pop that bass line into it. It's going to work for you all the time. Background parts come up with the thing. You don't like that rhythm? Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 doo da. I don't know. We come up with a rhythm, make it up. But what notes should you use? Thirds and sevens. It'll sound good. It'll be neat. Call and response. I don't know. Just find those things. Watch what the Basie band does on the trombone part. Call and response. They use some thirds and sevens, and the glissando. They kind of make it neatified. But it's stuff that we just did. There's nothing they're doing that we didn't do. Listen carefully. Saxes play the melody, but then what do they do? And really, what are they doing? And is it hard? Everything they do, you just did it. We just figured it out. With no music. You don't need it. You just need to talk about it and just do it. Or as they do, they on stage, they just start playing it, and it comes out. And it's riff tunes, and you can make a million. You can just go on and on. All right, here's Count Basie, and then I'm done. And you guys are ready for that? Here's the Basie game again. Last time. four times through, and they played the melody. Did you catch it? Really, only the first time. After that, they all picked different background parts, different riffs, and different call response, and they just made 3 more verses of that. And that was the song. And let's go to Hollywood and film it and make a movie. That's a nice thing. You can do that. So why aren't you? I got nothing more.